Hello, YouTubers, friends, compatriots, bootlickers, shills, deaths, search, peasants, vassals, minions, meat sacks. I'm usually late. Welcome. And so there's word that RFK Jr. may actually move forward on banning pharmaceutical ads on television. And that's a personal pet peeve of mine. It just amazes me that there's just an incredible amount of pharmaceutical ads on television. And a lot of times, not only do you have no idea what they're talking about and what kind of maladies these pharmaceuticals address, but then they squeeze in all the side effects that are just horrifying. Sometimes it seems like I'd rather have whatever the pill is supposed to fix than have a list of 20 or 30 horrible side effects. So I just, to me, is amazing. It seems like it would be left up to the doctors and a conversation between doctors and their patients to decide which pharmaceuticals they should use. Why are they advertising to a public so that they get this idea in their head and then go to their doctors and say, hey, I saw this ad on television. I think I need to take this pill. It just boggles my mind. And so the idea that they could be banned is really excites me because I just find those ads completely annoying, and I just don't understand why it is that pharmaceuticals need to advertise their pills. As I already said, it's a discussion between the doctor and the patient, and the idea that they're putting these ideas in people's heads. Oh, I need that pill. Another component of this too is weird is that, of course, in television advertising, you can't advertise for beer, you can't advertise for guns, and you can't advertise for cigarettes, but somehow pushing pharmaceuticals that have questionable effectiveness and come with an entire pantheon of side effects are okay. So that seems like a double standard in some ways. But I did a little research and looked into pharmaceutical companies and their television and media advertising, and it's really staggering numbers. In 2023, Big Pharma spent $13 billion on ads across media. And in 2024, just a year later, they spent $30 billion on ads. And of course, we've had a expansion of a lot of pharmaceutical ads during the pandemic era. One of the more interesting ones is that, of course, we had all the pharmaceutical ads to go out there and get the COVID shot. And then it looked like there was definitely a direct link between people having a lot of heart problems and sudden heart attacks in young, healthy people. And the next thing you know, pharmaceutical industries pushing ads about pills that address your heart problems. So talk about double dipping. But anyway, that's an amazing amount of money, $30 billion in 2024 by the top 10 pharmaceutical companies. And of course, the number one company that does this is Pfizer, and then Merck is not far behind. And 90% of all digital ads are from pharmaceutical companies. They're the second largest advertiser in the U.S., just behind food and cleaning projects. And one third of the advertising budget goes to TV. And in 2020, 2024, all advertising on television was a $60 billion industry, and 1/10 of that was from the pharmaceutical industry. And another problematic issue here, of course, is that pharmaceutical companies are always talking about the costs or because of research and development, and yet they spend far more on advertising and executive salaries than they put into new research. So that sinks that justification for high drug prices. And as we know, a lot of drugs are tested and used for one thing, and then they discover that it can be used for something else, and then they market it to people. And so the research and development costs are relatively low in the end run, but they use that to justify the cost of a lot of their pharmaceuticals and their pills. But the big 800-pound gorilla in the room is the fact that what a lot of this advertising about by pharmaceutical companies is they're buying the silence of the news industry. So if a big chunk of billions and tens of billions of dollars goes to the media, they're not going to do any stories that criticize Pfizer or criticize Merck or talk about any of the side effects or anything else that's even remotely critical of the pharmaceutical industry. And in fact, in discussions about the idea of banning pharmaceutical ads, this could be a huge step in crushing legacy media because they rely on this money. And in fact, a lot of the biggest news programs have the most pharmaceutical ads, and they charge a lot for the media charges a lot for these ads, and it's a total gravy train for the news outlets. And so if this revenue stream drives up, they're going to be hurting for sure. So there are a lot of interesting repercussions to the idea of banning pharmaceutical ads. But that said, uh, as I mentioned, it's a pet peeve of mine. I hate those ads. They're annoying as hell, and they're really disturbing, as a matter of fact. And as I pointed out, a lot of times I don't even know what these ads are for. I just see this soothing voice talking about helping me with all my problems, and then pictures of mothers throwing their babies in the air, and people just having a wonderful time throwing down these pills to make their life bearable. So anyway, we'll see what happens if RFK Jr. does move ahead and succeeds in banning pharmaceutical ads. One thing we're going to see is more crushing of legacy media. But one silver lining for us is that perhaps if media is freed up from kowtowing to their pharmaceutical masters, then maybe they'll actually report more health and medical news that's accurate and talk about problems with pharmaceutical companies. And then I woke up. I'm a useful idiot. Don't you be one too?